Welcome back to NFL Nexus. Today, we are diving headfirst into one of the most fascinating what-if scenarios floating around the NFL offseason. Seriously, this is a potential move that could completely redefine the future for the New York Jets. We're talking about two guys who were once supposed to be the absolute cornerstones for the Indianapolis Colts, Coach Frank Reich and quarterback Anthony Richardson. Their paths split in, well, dramatic and kind of unbelievable ways. But now, could a shocking reunion actually be on the table in New York? This is way more than just a trade rumor, folks. It's a story about redemption, about a massive, high-stakes risk, and maybe, just maybe, a last chance for both of these guys to prove everybody wrong. So in this explainer, we're going to connect all the dots. And hey, if you love this kind of deep dive analysis, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. You're not going to want to miss what we have coming up.
All right, so here's the game plan for today. First up, we're going to start with the one piece of news that kicked this whole thing off: the Jets hiring their new offensive coordinator. Then, to really get the weight of this whole idea, we've got to unpack the roller coaster careers of both Frank Reich and Anthony Richardson. I'm talking incredible highs and some truly stunning lows. Once we've got all that context, we'll connect the pieces and walk through the logic of why a reunion in New York actually makes a ton of sense. And finally, we'll wrap it all up by looking at the massive, massive gamble this would be and what it could mean for the future of the Jets.
So let's start with the catalyst, the single move that sets this entire conversation in motion. It's a huge hire by the New York Jets, one that brings a very familiar, and I'd say very motivated face back to the NFL sidelines. This is what sets the stage for everything else.
And there it is, the Schefter bomb on February 4th, 2026. Frank Reich is the new OC for the Jets. Now let's think about this for a second. This is the Jets we're talking about, a team that has been just desperate for some kind of offensive direction for years. They've been on a carousel of play callers, they've struggled to develop quarterbacks, and their offense is consistently ranked near the bottom of the league. So this isn't just hiring some random coach. This is bringing in a guy with a proven track record of leading powerful offenses. His return to the pros after a quick stop in college football is the first crucial domino to fall in this whole wild scenario.
But to really get why this hire is so interesting and why it opens the door to the whole theory we're talking about today, we have to understand the journey Frank Reich has been on. And let me tell you, it hasn't just been a few ups and downs. For the last several years, it has been a true roller coaster of success and, frankly, betrayal and failure.
Man, just look at this timeline. It really does tell the story, and it is a wild one. He gets the head coaching job in Indy back in 2018, puts together a really solid run, then, boom, fired mid-season in 2022. He lands on his feet right away with Carolina in 23, only to get fired mid-season again. I mean, to get let go like that twice in back-to-back years, that's almost unheard of in the NFL. It just speaks to the chaos he's been through. He takes a step back, goes to Stanford for a year to kind of reset, and now he's back in the league as an OC. This isn't just a career path. It's a story of incredible highs followed by stunningly abrupt lows. That tells you a lot about the kind of coach the Jets are getting. And let's be crystal clear about something. Despite the messy ending, his time in Indianapolis was not a failure. Not by a long shot. It's so important to remember this. A 40-33 record, that's more than respectable. And leading two different top 10 offenses, that's a huge accomplishment. And think about what he had to deal with. The sudden, shocking retirement of his franchise quarterback Andrew Luck right before the 2019 season, that's the kind of thing that can destroy a franchise. Yet, he still found ways to scheme up great offenses and win games with a whole carousel of quarterbacks, from Phillip Rivers to Carson Wentz. He proved he could adapt, which is exactly why a team like the Jets would be so interested in him.
You know, the bookends to his time with the Colts are just bizarre. You can't make this stuff up. His whole tenure started in the weirdest way possible when Josh McDaniels took the job and then just backed out, leaving the Colts scrambling. Reich was the backup plan. But as weird as that was, his exit was even stranger. He gets fired after a rough start only to be replaced by Jeff Saturday, a team legend, sure, but a guy with zero pro coaching experience hired straight out of an ESPN studio. It was one of the most shocking and, honestly, criticized coaching moves we've seen in a long, long time.
So this is the bottom line on Frank Reich in 2026. He's not just coming back to the NFL as another experienced coach. Oh no, he is coming back as a man with a massive chip on his shoulder. His time with the Panthers was a total disaster, and that year at Stanford, which he supposedly did as a favor for Andrew Luck, was his way of getting back to basics. Now, as the Jets OC, he's not just looking for a paycheck, he is looking for redemption. He has everything to prove all over again. Okay, so let's shift gears.
That's one half of the equation. Now we have to talk about the second main character in this whole drama. We need to look at a player who was supposed to be the future in Indianapolis, the guy the franchise drafted to be their savior, but whose own journey has been defined by massive hype, frustrating injuries, and just unfulfilled potential.
The 4th overall pick in the 2023 NFL Draft. Just let that sink in for a second. That's where the Colts took Anthony Richardson. When you're drafted that high, the expectations are just monumental. You're not just another player. You are anointed the face of the franchise, the savior, the guy the next decade is going to be built around. The weight of an entire city, the nonstop media coverage, the pressure to be great right now, all of that was heaped on his shoulders the second his name was called.
And I mean, he was the absolute poster child for a boomer bust prospect. A truly generational athlete. The physical tools were just undeniable. A combination of size, a cannon for an arm, and blazing speed that was completely off the charts for a QB. He looked like he was built in a lab. But the huge flip side was his experience, or lack thereof. He only started 13 games in college. There were serious flashing red light questions about his accuracy and if he was ready for the mental side of the pro game. The Colts basically ignored the risks and bet everything on the unbelievable physical traits.
This right here, this chart just says it all. The hype was through the roof. A 4.44 40-yard dash at over 230 pounds, something no quarterback had ever done. It was an all-time combine performance that had scouts absolutely drooling. But the reality on the field? A completion percentage stuck under 48% in 2024. Oof, that kind of inaccuracy just doesn't work in the NFL, no matter how fast you can run. It kills drives, leads to turnovers, and pretty much neutralizes all those athletic gifts. The jaw-dropping athleticism just hasn't translated to the #1 job of a quarterback, delivering the ball accurately.
And if the performance struggles weren't enough, oh boy, the injuries. It's been a relentless, just soul-crushing string of them. This is the biggest red flag of all. His rookie year in 2023 gets cut short after only 4 games with a season-ending shoulder injury. He struggles through 2024, then in 2025 it's a total nightmare. He re-aggravates that same shoulder in camp, dislocates a finger in the preseason, and then breaks his orbital bone and lands on IR without even starting a single game. You know the saying, the best ability is availability, and unfortunately, Richardson just hasn't been available. So while Richardson was on the sidelines, the Colts brought in veteran Daniel Jones. And Jones didn't just fill in, he had a fantastic career-revitalizing season. And that completely changed the entire dynamic in Indy. All of a sudden, the Colts had a reliable, successful starter they could build around. And that project quarterback, the former 4th overall pick they'd invested so much in, became a very expensive and very uncertain backup. His future with the team that drafted him? Yeah, it's never been murkier.
All right, before we finally connect these two wild stories, just a quick word. If you're enjoying this deep dive into what goes on behind the scenes in the NFL, a great way to support us here at NFL Nexus is by checking out our official coloring books. They're seriously perfect for fans of all ages, kids, grandkids, or even just for you as a way to relax. The link is right down in the description, or you can just scan the QR code on your screen. Your support is what allows us to keep making detailed explainers just like this one. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, let's get back to it, because this is the moment where it all comes together. We've got a coach who is desperate for a fresh start and a quarterback who desperately needs one. This is where their two chaotic, separate paths could actually converge in one of the most fascinating what-if scenarios in the entire league.
Let's just walk through the logic here step by step, because it's actually remarkably simple. Step 1. The Jets hire Frank Reich, a guy known for working with QBs who needs a project to define his big comeback. Step 2. The Jets have had a massive, glaring hole at quarterback for, decades. Step 3. Anthony Richardson, a former top pick with all this insane untapped talent, is now probably available for cheap from Reich's old team. And Step 4, this gives Reich the chance to take on the ultimate reclamation project, a chance to mold the very same quarterback whose potential he saw up close before the draft.
And this is such a key detail, you guys. This makes the whole theory so compelling. This connection isn't random. Back in 2023, Frank Reich was the head coach of the Carolina Panthers, a team that was heavily scouting the top quarterbacks in that draft. He was there. He had a bird's-eye view of Richardson's legendary combine workout. He saw the potential firsthand. And there is no doubt that when an offensive coach sees that kind of jaw-dropping athleticism, it leaves an impression. It plants a little what-if seed that might just be ready to grow.
You know what always drives these decisions in the NFL? Money. And the financial reality here makes a trade almost a sure thing. The Colts are almost certainly not picking up Richardson's 5th-year option,
I mean, look at that number. Over $23.5 million for a backup quarterback who's barely played? It's just not going to happen, especially when they need that money to re-sign their starter, Daniel Jones, and other key guys like Alec Pierce. From a pure team-building standpoint, trading Richardson for whatever they can get is the most logical move for Indy. His value is at an all-time low, making him a low-cost lottery ticket for a team willing to gamble.
And look, we're not the only ones thinking this. This idea is already bubbling up. Drake Wally, who covers the Colts, lays out the scenario perfectly. A team like the Jets, with a new OC who needs a project to call his own, could absolutely justify taking a low-cost shot on Richardson's elite physical traits. The hope, the gamble, would be that Frank Reich, the quarterback whisperer, could be the one coach to finally unlock all that raw talent and turn him into a real NFL starter.
So this brings us to the final and most important question. What would this move actually mean? It all builds towards what would be a massive, high-stakes gamble, not just for the New York Jets, but for the careers of both Frank Reich and Anthony Richardson.
I mean, when you lay it all out, the risk versus reward here is just staggering. The upside is so tantalizing. You could get a 23-year-old with truly elite, game-changing athleticism, the kind of talent that can win you games by himself. You'd have him on a cheap contract for 2 more years, and you'd be pairing him with a coach known for developing QBs. The downside, though, it's terrifying. He has a deeply concerning injury history, proven accuracy issues, and he's a major project for a team that needs to win now. The potential for him to be a high-profile bust is very, very real.
So it really all boils down to this one question. Is this one of those cases where 2 negatives can actually make a positive? You've got a coach whose reputation has taken a massive hit, who needs to prove he's still one of the best offensive minds in the game. And you've got a quarterback, just overflowing with talent, who needs a new home, and a coach who truly believes in him enough to rebuild him from the ground up. Could they be exactly what the other needs to save their careers? Or would they just end up dragging each other down?
And that's where we'll leave you. Taking a chance on Anthony Richardson could be the bold move that finally turns the Jets' fortunes around. Or it could be just another painful chapter in a very long book of quarterback disasters for this franchise. A stroke of genius or a recipe for disaster? It's a gamble that could make or break careers and define a franchise for years to come. So what do you think? Would this be a smart move for the Jets? Let us know your takedown in the comments. And if you enjoyed this explainer, please hit that like button and subscribe to NFL Nexus for more deep dives all season long. Thanks for watching.